Good evening, Central family. It's so good to see everybody logging on here, and I hope that everybody is having a good week so far. We do have just a couple of announcements before we actually get into our Devo for tonight. We need to be keeping the Mears family in our prayers, as well as Charles Massey. He is still in the hospital and at Mobile Infirmary, so we need to be keeping him in our prayers during this time. And brother, if you're watching, I just want to let you know that we love and appreciate you, and we can't wait to see you again. Brenda, if there's anything at all we can even do for you or whatever, please just let us know. We're here to help everyone here any way that we possibly can. And just wanted to let you know that we've got some good news. We are going to be meeting Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. And the reason that for me saying that we're going to have a little Devo and not the actual Bible study tonight is for the reason that we're going to be having one of our elders actually come in and do a little bit of talking to you tonight through this Bible study time to let you know a little bit about what we're going to be doing on Sunday. And so, but it will be something that even though we won't be able to hug each other and we won't be able to shake hands and do all these other things, that we're still going to be able to see each other. And I think it's going to be very, very encouraging. Very, very encouraging. So that's what's going to be taking place after my Devo. So the elders have asked me to do just a short Devo tonight, a little pick-me-up. And so that's what I want to do for y'all tonight. And tonight, by way of devotion, I just want to talk to you just real quick about this subject of our warrior God. You know, I think it's sometimes the focus of ourselves that we focus more on the soldier itself, because we understand, like what's mentioned there in 1 Timothy, that anybody who is a Christian is a soldier in God's army. That as a Christian we are a soldier. And with that being the case, though, we tend to focus more on the soldier themselves, and we neglect to see the true source of everything, which is truly the source of everything that we do in life. The reason that we are a Christian, the strength that we have, the abilities that we have, and that is truly from God. And I promise you that if we were to change our view of focusing not on ourselves and trusting more in ourselves and our abilities and things of that nature, and truly just focus upon God Himself, I promise you that our outlook on life will be so much better and so much greater. And we'll find ourselves seeing that we're actually able to do more than we ever thought because of our weaknesses with our doubts and things like that, because we're focusing on ourselves. And so with that being the case, I want you to notice something, that never did Paul ever state that he was able to, or he was strengthened by his own strength or ability. He never gave himself credit for any bit of that. And I want you to notice just a few passages tonight. Right here in Philippians 4 verse 13, I know we all know this passage very, very well, but he says, "For I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Now, I want you to notice this. Paul says that the one who was strengthening him was Jesus Christ. It wasn't himself, and even though he was one that was an apostle, he still saw himself as the least qualified to be an apostle. He continued saying that I was the chief of sinners. He continued to have a view of himself as saying that I'm the weak one, but God, you are the one who gives me all strength. That I am who I am because of you. And that's what made him have, like in the book of Philippians, even though that is a book that was written while in prison, it's also known as the book of joy. All because of who he said his source of everything was from. I even remind myself of 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse number 9, where he says there, "And he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you," when he begged God to remove that thorn in the flesh. He says that Jesus told him, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of God may rest upon me. Even though he came to the mind of saying, I'm almost at wit's end, I want this to be taken away from me, he was reminded that our Lord told him that his grace is sufficient, that his strength was actually made complete in weakness. And therefore, he changed his whole entire viewpoint on the physical circumstances, right? To focus on the spiritual results. We also remember there in Ephesians chapter 3 and verse number 16, where he says that he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with the might through his Spirit in the inner man. How are we going to actually outroot ourselves from doubt and with weakness and things of that nature? By truly focusing on the riches of his glory. By being strengthened with might through his Spirit in the inner man. God is working within us. And the cool thing is, brethren, that if the more we're willing to open up ourselves, the more God will pour himself in. You ever thought about that? That if I want God to overload me, all I got to do is open the door. Don't just creep it open. Open it full blast. He says, if you're willing to do that, I can work within your inner man and I will strengthen you with that. I'm also even reminded there in Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 10, where he charged the brethren there at Ephesus, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. He didn't say focus on yourself. He didn't say focus on yourself and on your abilities and your accomplishments and things of that nature. He says, I want you to focus fully. Be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. And he says, if you're doing that, you'll find yourself overcoming everything and being the church that he wants you to be. The focus should never be just on the soldier, but more importantly, it needs to be on the source, the commander-in-chief of our salvation, God himself. May we always realize the true power and strength that God has and our place within that strength. You know, I fully understand and I realize that Paul realized fully this point whenever Jesus said in John chapter 15, in verse number 5, and talking about I'm the vine, you are the branches, he says, he who abides in me and I in him, he says, bears much fruit. But he realizes this point. Jesus says, for without me you can do nothing. My friends, may I encourage you to stop focusing on what I think I can do. What I think I know, what I'm able to accomplish. All the little parts of me that are broken, that I have all those doubts about, I can overcome anything and everything that life throws at me because of the one who lives within me. If you remember that, brethren, I promise you, your life will be turned around. So I hope that has really helped you and encouraged you tonight just to realize truly the power that we have in our warrior God. God's already fought the battles. God's already won all the battles. We just have to realize the fact that if God is working within us, if he's already won, so can we. So tonight, as we are about to go into that part of our study tonight and having one of our elders come up, and he's going to tell you a little thing about what we're going to be doing about Sunday morning gathering. My friends, I cannot wait to see you. I have missed you. I have longed to see you. And Lord willing, on Sunday, I'll be able to see you again. I love you and appreciate you. Now let me pass it over to one of our elders. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone, and we appreciate very much your viewing the Bible study lesson this evening. However, at this time, we'd like to take a moment and to be able to discuss with you our plans for resuming our worship service. On Monday night, the elders and the ministers here met for the specific purpose of addressing the above topic in a timely manner, with the hopes of entering a first phase resumption of our worship gatherings on Sunday, May the 17th. The following are the results of the discussion we had during this meeting, and these discussions address the concerns and requirements presented by Governor Kay Ivey and her staff on April the 30th and updated us on May the 8th with special provisions for churches. In the discussions, we followed the main points of concern stated in the directive and included more personal concerns that we, the leadership, have for our members here at Central, and they are as follows. Personal distancing recommendations, use or non-use of face coverings, use or non-use of protective gloves, provision of hand sanitizers, cleansing our facilities before and between each service, and the care of our aged and medically compromised members. After extensive review of the latest requirements for compliance and discussion of our own personal concerns, the following procedures and provisions were adopted as prudent and acceptable by all the elders that were present at the meeting. We want to remind everyone that we will meet Sunday morning promptly at 10 a.m. and then we will not have a service at the building, and we will discuss this later on here in this message. All attendees are asked to enter through the carport doors. All other doors will remain locked throughout the gathering. So the carport, being here in the auditorium, will be to my right. We encourage everyone to please park in that area, which will put you in front of the fellowship hall. We'd ask that you please come down the hallway and you will be directed where to go. Each family will be greeted by an elder and an usher at the door, where they will be welcomed and provided with communion materials prepackaged for ease of use and for sanitation. Each elder and each usher will be wearing appropriate hand and face covering for the protection of our members. After greeting, the usher will escort the family to appropriate seating inside the auditorium. The precaution is deemed necessary to ensure proper safe distancing of our members both in transit to your seats and in the pews. The usher will help you choose a seat that will be convenient, comfortable, and safe for you and yours throughout the service, and they will be reminding you that we must all be interested in safety first as we proceed with our worship. We'd like to remind everyone that we have tried to provide sufficient ushers to see that no one will be asked to stand waiting at the door for an escort. So please be patient. Should all the ushers be occupied when you come to the door, waiting might be minimized by coming early. We would encourage folks, if you would like to get here 20 to 30 minutes early before we start, promptly at 10 a.m., because the service will be live streamed. And we want everyone to be seated and ready to worship promptly at 10 a.m. Again, point number 4, we will proceed promptly at 10 a.m. We'll have the assigned men to conduct us in our worship service. We'll have some announcements, and then we'll enter into our song service. We'll have a scripture reading. We'll have a prayer after we have our announcements, then the song service, then our scripture reading, and then Wes will have the morning lesson. We'll have the invitation song. We'll have a song before the communion, and then Brother Charles Gauntney will direct our minds in the Lord's Supper and our giving. And he will also have some final thoughts with some instruction at the end of the service. A couple of things that you will notice when you first come in the doors: we will have some signs. Wes has been working diligently. We'd like to show you what those are. You'll notice that we are recommending no hugging, no shaking of hands, and no gatherings. We want you to be able to come into the building in a safe manner. We want you to leave in a safe manner. And although we have not seen each other in several weeks, possibly a couple of months, we want to encourage everyone to please keep your distance from one another and to be able to come back the following Sunday when we are able to meet again. Also, when you enter into the auditorium, you will see some signs on the pews, and these will be do not sit here and keep at least a 6-foot distance. You will see those signs posted on the chairs. One thing that we will encourage you to do is to keep in mind you may not be sitting in the same place that you have been sitting in for a period of time. You may be adjusted from the normal seating that you are used to, and so we encourage you to please be cooperative with that. We will try to minimize our seating, and that is we're going to try to use the first pews right here in the middle, and then if we have exhausted these seats, then we will move to the wings on the outside of each side of the middle section. For all of those who are older and medically compromised members, while the virus is evidently not universally fatal, it is especially difficult and more dangerous to those who are of 65 years of age and older, who are suffering with chronic pulmonary and or heart malady, or whose immune systems are compromised by illness or medical treatment. We want to remind all of our members that we love and cherish all of you, and we are mostly concerned about your safety and your well-being, on top of being concerned about your souls as the eldership. And so we encourage you to, if you feel uncomfortable about coming to the building and assembling, then we encourage you to please stay home and to be able to watch the live stream if you have that capability at home. If you have, again, if you have any reservations, please stay at home. If you cannot receive these services by live stream, please let us know, and we can perhaps make arrangements to set that up for you, or to be able to get you in touch with someone who is close by who would be willing to help you with that. We'd like to remind everyone, until further notice, we will continue having the electronic broadcast sessions on Sunday evening at 5 p.m. and with Central Talk Live Tuesdays at 7 and Wednesday evening Bible study at 6:30. We realize that this is added work and that has been put on Wes and Clifford, and we appreciate very much their diligence, their patience with this, and their preparation in all that they have been doing. We could not ask for any more than what they are doing. They have been going above and beyond their call of duty. And all those who are working with them, there are people that are working behind the scenes who are here with them each time that the broadcast is done live and even recorded, and we applaud them as well. We are very grateful to them. We'd like to encourage those who have been coming to the Wednesday morning class beginning at 10 a.m. that Glenn will be restarting that class on the 20th, May the 20th. So that'll be a week from today, and we encourage you to, if you have been attending to that, then we encourage you to come here to the building. The same procedure will apply. We'll meet in the auditorium beginning at 10 a.m. and we'll keep safe distancing and all that in place while the class is being conducted. For the foreseeable future, these precautionary procedures and this general schedule of services will remain in place for each Sunday gathering, and as stated for the other classes. We will just have the morning worship service beginning at 10 a.m. We will not have any Bible classes for Sunday at this time. So please be aware of that, and we encourage you again to promptly be here 20 to 30 minutes early to be able to allow to be seated and to be able to get your emblems for the Lord's Supper. Again, we'd like to thank all of you for your continued prayers and patience, and we welcome your comments, your constructive criticisms, and we should all be over. Hopefully this will pass soon so that we can all be back here together to worship and to be able to hug one another and shake hands and do what we were doing before this virus came into being. Again, we'd like to encourage you, just a small note just for a moment. We'd like to encourage you that if you are not feeling well, we encourage you to please stay home. If you're a parent, you have children in the house, and they are sick, please stay home with them. Keep them at home. Even after this virus has passed, if it's the flu season, if it's anything else, if anybody in the family is running a fever, if they are not feeling well at all, please stay home. We do not want to spread anything. We were going to do, as we said earlier, we're going to do all the precautions that we can to keep the auditorium disinfected and to do things in a very safe manner. So we encourage you to keep that in mind, and we look forward to seeing everyone who can be here Sunday morning. Thank you.